You are Locked On Celtics Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Boston, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, the Celtics improved to 5-1 on the season and back-to-back games. Celtics in Houston Friday night, strong start to the fourth quarter. Jayson Tatum, Derrick White, Payton Pritchard, all hitting for 20 or more. Celtics have now won 3 in a row, 2-0 on this current road trip through Minneapolis, Houston, OKC, and Denver. With that, we welcome you into our latest Locked On Celtics postcast. I'm Steve Lennox, longtime college basketball play-by-play announcer, former national show host on satellite radio and ESPN radio as well. You are right where you need to be. You are locked on with the latest Locked On Celtics postcast, providing reaction to every Celtics game on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, as well as a Locked On Celtics podcast feed, which you know is free and available wherever you get your podcasts. With our latest Locked On Celtics postcast, we're going to discuss Derrick White, Jayson Tatum, Sam Hauser, and KP making his return. The Celtics are now 5-1 on the second game of a back-to-back. They're a veteran team, but they always look like the team in these back-to-back situations that are more poised, more energetic, and always, or at least most of the time, first to the 50-50 balls. Celtics pick up the victory, 26 on the season. We do want to hear from you as well. Our everydayers and our first-timers, join the conversation watching live on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Hit the comment button. Join the conversation. Give us your one random thought on the Celtics improving to 2-0 on this road trip with wins against Minnesota and Houston. You can also hit me up on the X, Lennox on Hoops, with questions, comments, or concerns. Again, subscribe to the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Give a follow on X at Lennox on Hoops. This episode of the Locked On Celtics postcast brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get on the regular season action with FanDuel, because right now new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So we find out prior to the game, Kristaps Porzingis available. Al Horford out, not playing the second game of a back-to-back. Rest for Horford, and Jaylen Brown missing his second straight game with a right shoulder sprain. Now, the Celtics 2-0 on the road trip so far. Houston earlier in the day, during their shoot around, Jamari Smith Jr., they find out fracture in his hand, suffered during the shoot around earlier in the day, out 6 to 8 weeks, according to Abby Chin on the NBC Sports Boston Celtics broadcast. So Smith Jr. out for an extended period of time for a Rockets team that, entered at 22-11. Şengün, very strong player, scored the first 4 points of the season. He's now in his fourth year. And he's an impressive player. He is. There's no doubt about that. But Houston overall, Celtics up 6 after 1. Drew Holiday had a great first quarter, 12 in the first quarter. And the Celtics started hot from the field. They haven't done that recently. They hit 5 of their first 8 shots. The Rockets started out by hitting 6 of their first 8 as well. Holiday had back-to-back threes in that first quarter. Again, Holiday had 12 in the first quarter. Pritchard had 10. He was 4 of 5 from the field. Celtics knocked down 7 threes in that first quarter. And again, led after one by 6, led by 9 at the half. Tatum came alive. 10 of his 13 coming in the second quarter. In the first half, had a dunk to give the Celtics a 4-point lead at 55-51 in that second. Porzingis got hit with a technical foul, and that sort of reminded me right there, read earlier in the day, that Tatum's technical against Minnesota on Thursday night rescinded by the NBA. Then in that second quarter, Tatum back-to-back threes. And the Celtics right now, are the Celtics the best team in the NBA? You don't want to leave your seat. You don't want to leave the couch or your recliner in the final minute of a quarter, because the Celtics, to me, might be they're fun to watch in the final quarter because they manipulate the clock. They work the clock for those 2-for-1 situations. Tatum had a strong drive and a dunk. Celtics 50% overall from the field in the first half and over 50% on three-pointers. Green and Şengün both with 14. But even at the half, with the Celtics up by 9, you just thought this was going to be a night for the Celtics where they might run away with it. Tatum, again, Celtics had the final opportunity at the end of the third quarter, missed on a three. But with about 2.5 to go in that third quarter, Tatum knocked a three. That put the lead up to 15. And in that third quarter, it was interesting because Porzingis and Kornet were on the floor together. Kornet and Queta saw time on the floor. I believe it was in the first half together. Without Al Horford, Joe Mazzulla doing some different things with his lineups. Hauser had 9+ minutes, 0 shot attempts in the first half, did not start the third quarter, was in the starting lineup. In that third quarter, White to Kornet on an alley-oop. That gave the Celtics an 11-point lead. Houston got close a couple of times in that third quarter, but the Celtics went on runs. White had a three to put them up 77-65. Hauser got on the floor with 4:36 to go in the third. That was a good sign. Brian Scalabrine was talking about it on the TV broadcast on NBC Sports Boston with Drew Carter about where is Hauser here. And he asked Abby Chin at the beginning of the third quarter, can we get a report? Well, he did come onto the floor. I think he only had one shot attempt for the entire game. But it was good to see that he got back on the floor in that third quarter. Fourth quarter, Celtics just went from there. They were up by 10, scored the first 11 of the fourth quarter. They had a turnover on their first possession. They were sloppy somewhat in the third quarter with 8 turnovers. But a strong first 3 minutes of that fourth put the game away. Porzingis hit a three. And Tatum, as they had that lead early on in the fourth quarter and they extended that lead, Tatum was on the bench, then came back onto the floor. Kornet had an offensive rebound. That led to a White three, 90-72 at that point. Pritchard hit a three, up 21, 93-72. Celtics go from there. Pritchard hit another three to put them up 21 with just under 5 to go. And that gave Pritchard 20 for the game. And the Celtics win it easily, 109-86 against Houston. I'll tell you what, injury earlier in the day to one of your top players, okay. Jabari Smith Jr. is going to miss an extended period of time. They knew that in the locker room coming out for the game against the Celtics. But I really wasn't all that impressed with the Houston Rockets. Let's hear from you. If you're with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, hit the comment button, join the conversation. Paul Dumont. Hope I have that right. Paul checking in. Payton Pritchard, Kornet, Stay Ready Group. In yesteryear, currently big contributors. Yeah. Sengun picked in the draft with a Celtics first-round pick that Brad traded to OKC. Brian Scalabrine, Brad, did make mention of that during the game. That was the Horford-Kemba Walker trade. He'd fit in nicely. Again, young, fourth-year player. But that trade, sort of set you up to a certain degree. You got a veteran in Al Horford. Yes, he'd certainly be a big part of your future. Smiley Jogger, haven't seen you in a while. Glad you're on board with us. Thank you very much. It looked like the team was ultra motivated and focused to face Ime Udoka. Could be. And I've said it before, as I'm sort of getting ready in another room to set things up. Drew Carter, Brian Scalabrine mentioned it right there at the end, listening to the final comments from them as the players were exchanging pleasantries and saying goodbye. And at the end of the game, Ime Udoka took right off. Nothing for the Celtics. Bye-bye. See ya. If he's got sour grapes at this point in time, that's a conversation maybe for another time, but come on. Be better than that. You made your own bed. Smiley Jogger, again, appreciate it. Yeah, it may have been ultra motivated. I think just motivated right now on this road trip. 2-0. Still a winning record in the month of December, but a lot of home games, and now 2-0 against two teams that I'm not questioning the Western Conference and the talent that is in the West, but you just picked up 2 victories, and the second against a Houston team who had a night off the night before. Celtics traveled in early in the morning from Minnesota to Houston, Texas. And the Celtics, again, 5-1 on the back end of back-to-backs. 5-1 in their 6 back-to-backs on the second game against younger teams in a lot of those instances. Poised veterans, bench players ready to go, all those different factors. That's impressive. 5-1 on the back ends. I don't have access to ESPN stats and info like I used to working in Bristol, Connecticut, but that's got to be one of the best. PK Tattoos. I got it. Thanks for checking in again. Was fun watching Pritchard and Kornet cooking together. Great chemistry. Yeah. Ime Udoka There's a number of the night from PK Tattoos. 0-3 against his former team, the Boston Celtics. Paul checking in again. Pick was attached with Kemba Walker for Horford. Yes, touched on that, and Scalabrini gave me that one too, and I appreciate you bringing that up. One more from Paul. Peterson showed a little something in garbage time. And just like against Toronto at home, New Year's Eve day, the Raptors in that situation deserved. When these bench guys get in what's quote-unquote garbage time at the end of a game, go get it. Go get it. Go get yours. I was waiting for one more three. Peterson knocked down a three. 2 of 2 from the field, the three-pointer. 19 threes. I wanted 20, but that's okay. But yeah, those guys, that's their opportunity right now. No Horford, no Brown for a second straight game. You're 2-0 on this road trip. I am hopeful. I've got it right there on our rundown. Sunday fun day. Looking ahead, numbers of the night, Sunday fun day. Looking ahead to OKC on Sunday. Hey, I don't watch a lot of football. I'm certainly not watching football on Sunday as NFL regular season wraps up, but I'm ready to go. I've seen this game for a while. We all have. It's on the schedule. But I'm looking forward to Sunday. I really am. And the Celtics were able to, play the fourth quarter the way they wanted to, getting out to that 11-0 start. Appreciate the comments. Keep them coming. The 2-for-1 has been impressive at the end of quarters for the Celtics. They know the clock. They really do. How many times do you see it, not only over the course of a game, but over the course of 3 and 4 games, the Celtics have the ball and possession in the closing seconds, or at least they hit a shot where they've got one final shot in the final 10 seconds. Shot clock might be winding down. They hit or miss. There might be just a couple of seconds there, but few and far between the other team going to the other end and scoring on the final possession of the quarter. The Celtics with 40 seconds or so identify we're going 2-for-1 here. Don't always like the shot. It might be a long three from 40 feet away, but they're going for that 2-for-1 situation. They did it very well, and it was noticeable against the Rockets on Friday night in the victory. 109-86. Celtics win by 23 points. Again, they scored the first 11 points of the fourth quarter and then ran away from there. KP did make his return. First game for Kristaps Porzingis since Christmas against the 76ers. We're going to get into that coming up next. Locked On Celtics postcast, Locked On Sports Boston, your team every day. We are presented by FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's, again, not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W. You are going to love betting on which players will score a touchdown and how many points each team will score with FanDuel. Again, you can bet on which players are going to score the touchdown and plenty more. Just visit FanDuel.com today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance to win $250 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Back to the comments. Keep them coming. Paul checking in again. D. White was cooking. Put it's commonplace, almost not worth mentioning. Okay. Again, hit the comment button if you're with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. I got to read that one more time. D. White was cooking. All right. I get it now. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Kristaps Porzingis back in the lineup. There's been a couple of times where Porzingis, they've tried to get him involved early. I thought he was more in the flow of the offense where he wasn't just getting shots up early on. Porzingis overall, just under 28 minutes for the game in his return. Again, missed 4 in a row with an ankle sprain. He was 3 of 8 from the field, knocked down 2 threes in 3 attempts. Also got to the line 4 times. Celtics didn't get to the line a whole bunch in the first half. Celtics had just 6 attempts from the free throw line, knocked down 3 in the first half. Second half got to the line a little bit more, 9 for 12. But Porzingis got some free throw attempts. Again, got an odd technical foul. He wasn't animated or anything. Maybe they'll rescind that one as well over the weekend or early next week in the league office. But Porzingis ends up with 11 points, had a couple of block shots, and was a plus 10 on the floor. And I don't always look at the plus minus, but Derrick White was plus 27. And Luke Cornett was plus 23. Cornett, usually you say player finish, 1 assist or 1 rebound shy of a double-double or a triple-double. Cornett, 1 point shy, 9 points, 10 rebounds, 1 point shy of a double-double. Gave the energy. The Celtics, hey, this was a team in the Houston Rockets who can go get it on the offensive boards. They had 14 offensive boards, but the Celtics had 12. Second chance points. Houston 19-15 advantage. But again, it wasn't lopsided. Celtics bench 41 points. And the points in the paint, Celtics 38-30. And I believe Drew Carter and Brian Scalabrine mentioned it. Previous couple of games, teams' points in the paint below 30. Rockets got to just 30 for the game. Celtics' largest lead, 28, that in the fourth quarter. I know we're hitting a lot of numbers here, but there are a lot of things that factored into the Celtics' victory Friday night against Houston. Led after 1 and just kept going. Houston scored a total of 30 points. 30 points in the second half. They were 3 of 17 in the second half from the three-point line and 10 of 38 overall for 26%. And right here is where I'll go into, I might make this promise to you. I don't like making promises. Promises are easy to break. We're in the new year. This isn't about resolutions. Maybe it is a resolution. But the next time the Celtics go into a funk, and they will, but right now they've won 3 in a row. And defensively, I wasn't completely sold on it in the game against Toronto because Toronto's just bad. But the Celtics did a nice job defensively against the Raptors in a lopsided victory, 50-plus. What was it, 54 a couple of games ago, just before New Year's Eve day? Minnesota Thursday night, Anthony Edwards held in check, missed on a potential game-tying 3 at the end. Watched Edwards on social media sitting in his beautiful chair in his locker room at home at Target Center in Minneapolis after the game, saying that he's kind of, paraphrasing here, but basically saying that he's getting frustrated with how teams are sending a second defender at him and double teaming him when they had the ball. Tatum did a great job Thursday night defensively. Edwards was held below his season average. Only had, I think, that 1 shot attempt in the third quarter. So walked away from Thursday night's victory against the Timberwolves in Minneapolis, impressed with the Celtics defensively. Even more impressed with the Celtics defensively and what they did against Houston on Friday night in the victory. And at some point, there's almost like a ringer that goes off in my head. They had 79 points, and I'm saying, okay, they're not going to hit 100. That's impressive. We'll have that number coming up, numbers of the night, in segment number 3. But 30 points total. They scored 31 in the first quarter, 25 in the second, and just 14 points in the fourth quarter. Now, the Celtics weren't outstanding offensively, but overall defensively and holding Houston to 86 points with some of their numbers in the top 5 in the NBA. Celtics are showing you over the last 3 games what they're capable of on the defensive end of the floor. Back to the comments we go. Smiley Jogger. Lots of traveling calls. Yeah, there were. I don't know what the final number was, but in that third quarter, the Celtics had 8 turnovers. They had 3 turnovers in the victory against Minnesota on Thursday night. Ended up with 14 total. Now, that's a number I'm sure that they'll talk about in terms of cleaning it up. You got away with it. Houston had 11 turnovers. Points off turnovers. Where were we? Points off turnovers. So the Celtics had 14 turnovers, but Houston just 9 points off 14 Celtic turnovers. Again, that gets to the defensive end. What also gets to the defensive end, the Celtics had 13 personal fouls for the entire game. So they were moving their feet, they were active, their hands were active, and they got after it on the defensive end. PK Tattoos, fun watching Pritchard. Yep, we hit that one. Let's scroll down here. Smiley Jogger, got that one. Udoka enjoyed his back and forth with Pritchard. Yeah, and they touched on it. Drew Carter, Brian Scalabrine, they touched on it. They've got history. Good history, but they go back. Paul asking me what I thought of Cada's performance. I liked him against Minnesota. I feel like, again, he's active. Cornette had a good game off the bench. Cada played almost 20 minutes for the entire game. And his plus-minus was impressive against Minnesota, was just +1. But, in the final minutes of that one, overall fine for Cada. And again, knowing probably that, seeing the situation, Porzingis back after missing 4 games, Al Horford out for rest, Cornette and him were going to see minutes off the bench. Did he go out there and dominate in a segment of the game? No, but he was active. Kept balls alive. I was really impressed with him against Minnesota on Thursday night. But again, I think he's a big part of what the Celtics are coming off the bench right now. And remember, Ali LaForce had it on TNT Thursday night. It's been a long time. It's been a real long time. Pritchard, 32-plus minutes. Cornette, 23 minutes. Cada, almost 20 minutes off the bench. And then you had Walsh with 8-plus. And then you had Peterson, Tillman, Springer all in there in the end playing all almost 4 minutes or more. It's been a long time since the Celtics have had Horford, Porzingis, Brown, Tatum, Holiday miss some time there. With all the guys that they have available, and they're very deep right now, it's been few and far between with everybody available. Check it out tomorrow with the injury report as they'll submit it for the first time, maybe late tomorrow afternoon on Saturday or even Saturday night for OKC on Sunday. But it's been a long time since they've had everybody. So we talk about the bench players and being ready to go. They've got their own title and everything. Cada and the entire group, again, you not an excuse, but you have to also understand these guys are called upon. They're expected to be ready. There is rust, there's timing, there's different things. The minutes, somewhat inconsistent. By design, understanding, Joe Mazzulla knew Thursday night Al Horford probably not going to be likely. Maybe he did not know KP's status until Friday mid-afternoon. He was listed as probable. Maybe he knew he was going to be a go, but they finally said, okay, he's good to go a couple hours before the game, or maybe inside of 2 hours before the game. But some of these guys are going right up to game time not knowing whether or not they're going to be in a game. So I don't use it as an excuse, but I like Cada. I do. I've liked him since early on in the season when Porzingis was out of the lineup completely. And he was getting minutes off the bench. And again, Joe Mazzulla, let me see if I can find it real quick because I did write this down. It was in the pregame interview. See if I can get to this, then we got to hit a break. Mazzulla. Talking with Abby Chin on NBC Sports Boston in the pregame interview, talking about, the different guys and being available. He talked about developing different identities with the different fives that he was going to have on the floor. And those guys and the team with different matchups being able to take advantage of matchups. This is sort of paraphrasing, but almost exactly word for word from Joe Mazzulla in the pregame interview on NBC Sports Boston. Take advantage of matchups regardless of who you are playing. KP back enhances that for the team. And they have different lineups that they can go to. That's the biggest thing right now. You can go in a lot of different directions. There might be a head coach or two that the Celtics, an opposing coach during the season, be like, okay, we can adjust and we can, see that lineup, but we saw no tape on this lineup. So what are they going to do? There was one time, I think it was Cornette Porzingis, where the two bigs were inside the paint area, just inside the free throw line. That wasn't spacing there. And Scalabrine made mention of it. And it's something that kind of piqued my ears up a little bit. Scal pregame, broadcaster observation of the night, then we got to hit a break. Scal in pregame in the opening with Drew Carter. We don't give him enough credit, talking about Jayson Tatum, on how complete a player he is. Really? If you're not, and I like Brian Scalabrine, great personality, but that's your job to let us know how complete a player Jayson Tatum is. They were talking about the game against Minnesota, 33 points, assists, rebounds, was just, again, shy of a double-double and even a triple-double against the Timberwolves. But that was Scalabrine. We don't give him enough credit for how complete a player he is, basically. Jayson Tatum is a complete player. Jayson Tatum had some nice passes as well in the game. I don't do this a lot, but I'm going to do it right now, and why not? Let's do a little scoreboard watching. I believe Cleveland had a 20-0 run in their game at Dallas, under a minute to go, and the Cavaliers up by 12 right now, 132-120. So we are scoreboard watching just a little bit. OKC winning by 10, outscoring the Knicks 37-19 in the fourth quarter and winning 117-107. So they extend their win streak again. And this is interesting because OKC in the standings, wherever you look, they're now credited with a 14-game win streak, but they did lose in the NBA Cup Finals in Las Vegas against Milwaukee. That doesn't count towards their losing streak. It kind of does. OKC now 16-2 at home on the season. I'm glad they beat the Knicks. I'm glad Oklahoma City beat the Knicks and ended their 9-game win streak. I'm glad OKC extends its win streak. Now the Celtics can end it on Sunday. We are going to discuss that, plus numbers of the night and more of your comments as we continue right here. Locked On Celtics Postcast. And we are presented by Game Time. Locked On Sports Boston, your team every day with Game Time. Hey, we love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, or comedy. And for most of us, we have great memories of attending live events with the energy and the excitement. Those moments in the arena, in the theater, in the ballpark, they're unforgettable. Now Game Time has made it even easier to get tickets for your favorite events with their new feature, Game Time Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you do not have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. With Game Time Picks, you will find amazing deals and can even see the view from your seat before you make your purchase. The super deal is particularly impressive, offering great seats at unbeatable prices. Plus, the app's all-in pricing is able to show you the total cost up front with no surprise fees when you check out. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Right now, download the Game Time app, create your account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. Again, create your account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? You know what time it is. It's game time. All right, numbers of the night coming up in just a moment. As always, we tip our cap to you. What a great show Thursday night. Plenty of people with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. The same on a Friday night, talking about the victory against the Houston Rockets. Again, I was just not that impressed with Houston. I don't know. Effort. That's all it takes sometimes. Concerted effort. They've got pieces. And, Amen Thompson, recently watching him on the Netflix documentary. I forget the name of it right now. You can Google the Thompson twins and watch that. It's a different world we live in amateur basketball these days. PK Tattoos. Joe did a great job with the rotation tonight. Also seemed like he was having fun. That's a great sign. Yeah. I mean, Joe Mazzulla doesn't crack that many smiles, right? Can be sarcastic with his comments every once in a while with reporters, and having to talk to reporters before and after every single game, and on days where there's shoot arounds and practices and there's no games, and it's the same people that you're seeing. It's no knock on the reporters; they have a job to do. But yeah, you want to see the head coach. You do want to see the head coach have some fun out there. Smiley Jogger. Love Joe's high five and chest bump with Pritchard. It must feel good to beat the coach that he replaced. And whether it's present day or 5 years down the road and Ime Udoka is still coaching the Houston Rockets or another NBA team, as long as you have the players that played for him in Boston, they're going to remember it. They're going to remember that, and there's nothing wrong with that. 6 back-to-back of the season for the Celtics, and again, now 5-1 in the second game of a back-to-back as we hit the numbers of the night. Celtics are now 9-0. Let me make sure I have that right. Got to scroll up. Bear with me for just a second as I get into my notes. Want to get this right. But the Celtics of late holding opponents below 100 points. Houston held below 90. Houston's been few and far between with those right this year. So the Celtics, I believe now 9-0 on the season. 10th win of the season by 20 or more. There's a number of the night for you. Let's get here. 9-0. I do have it right in my third section of the show. 9-0 when holding opponents to below 100 points. And they've done it a handful of times here in recent games, right? Keep doing it. Just keep doing it. Minnesota, 115, but before that, the Raptors, 71. Bulls had 98. These are recent games. Pistons, 99. Celtics holding Washington to 98. That was a game in mid-December. I wouldn't have watched it if we weren't doing the Locked On Celtics postcast. I've said that numerous times now. Give you a couple more numbers of the night. A couple involving White and Tatum. Tatum, now 9 straight games with 20 or more points. That includes 3 30-point games and 1 40-plus point effort as well. Man, the Celtics were close to knocking down 23s. Finished with 19 for the game. They had hit 20 or more threes in the previous 2 and 4 of the previous 6 entering Friday night. But you'll take 19. We'll take 19 made threes. 49% on the three-point line. Take that on any given night as well for the Celtics. Tatum gave you his numbers. Let's get Derrick White. Led the team in scoring. 9th time this year, White with 20 or more points. And the 10th time this season where White knocked down 5 or more threes. Went 6 of 12 on the three-point line. 8 of 16. He was 50% overall and 50% on threes. I'm telling you, Derrick White, Friday was the day. If you voted for Derrick White, your vote on Friday counted 3 times for Derrick White. Probably doesn't get voted in, realistically. But overall, I think he ends up being an all-star. I'll be very happy. I'll be very disappointed if he's not, because he deserves it. Paul bringing up Edwards. Yeah, Edwards, Anthony Edwards for Minnesota is a scorer going back to last night's game. But that overall, the way the Celtics defended him, 1 shot attempt in the third quarter, he sort of got out of his mix. So now Sunday fun day. I've been looking forward to this one for a while. Going back to making my promise, I'm not going to jump off the bandwagon or push the panic button the next time the Celtics go in a funk. You knew they were going to come out of it. They got on the road. They're 2-0 on this road trip. Said it last night. Can't start a road trip. Can't go 2-0 on a road trip if you don't win game number 1. They did that against Minnesota. Now they're 2-0. I want 3-1 realistically. I'd rather go 3-1. I want Sunday. If you're a Celtics fan, you want Sunday. I just hope in the final 5 minutes, it's exactly what we're hoping for, a close game. And the Celtics prevail in the end, we can talk about it. That's what we'll be doing on Sunday, as we'll be on board with our latest edition of the Locked On Celtics postcast within minutes of the final buzzer. Don't forget, your favorite podcast now has a newsletter and one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. We do thank our sponsors by supporting our sponsors. You are supporting us with Locked On as well, Game Time and FanDuel. So the Celtics back in action, 2-0 on this road trip, 3 straight wins. And one more for you. Let me see if I can get back up there for just a second. So the Celtics now, they are 2 games off the pace from where they were last year. They were 28-7 with Friday night's win against Houston, 26-9. So 2 games off last year's pace. And after they were 28-7 through their first 35, they ended up 31-9. So they lost 2 games during this stretch between games 35 and 40 at this point last season. But 2 games off last year's pace, 26-9 on the season, 2-0 on this current road trip. OKC is up next. Let's see if the Celtics can end the Thunder win streak on Sunday with the first of 2 regular season meetings between 2 of the top teams and all of the NBA. That's going to do it for us. As always, a tip of the cap. We appreciate you being on board with us live on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Tell your friends about us as well. We do thank you for making Locked On Celtics with John Corrales and the Locked On Celtics postcast your first listen every day. Again, with the podcast free and available wherever you get your podcasts. The comment section is blowing up here a little bit. Let me see if I can get to a couple more. Paul, thank you. PK Tattoos, hey, we will see you Sunday. And Smiley Jogger, appreciate all of you. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Enjoy your Saturday, and we are back with you on Sunday for our latest edition of the Locked On Celtics postcast. Locked On Sports Boston, number one place to hang out with you, for me, after every game. Locked On Sports Boston, your team, your Celtics, every day.